All right. Hi, everybody. We're on YouTube, which was exactly where we wanted to be, right, Carrie? That was our goal. Who cares about going on Facebook Live? We wanted to be on YouTube Live. So we'll give people over on Facebook the heads up if everybody on the team can reach out and give them a little chat to say, we're over here. But we'll go ahead and get started. And I will share my screen. So given that we're in a new place and a new setting and everything isn't as familiar as we might like it to be, this is going to be happening more and more as we journey through this thing called dementia, when I'm not recognized. Either you've lost my name, you've lost our relationship or something else, or you mistake me for someone else. Somehow I'm not recognized to you when I enter your space. So we're going to talk a little bit today about what can you say and do. So let's go on to this slide here, and I'm going to move you guys over just a little bit. There we go. So we'll kind of go through the gems, and that we talked yesterday about the gems and the scale that we use. It's really a sliding scale, and it's a state, and sometimes we might be in all of these states. The depending factor is, can I get back to a place where I'm sapphire or something else? So sapphires, late in age, not everyone develops dementia, right? There's a bunch of people out there who are going to live their whole life and dementia is not ever going to be a part of it, and yet our brains still change as we age. And so this idea, I'm slower to ID, I may struggle with the name. I may be able to come up with kind of the first letter, or maybe I misplace it every now and then, but I can ID you given the right context. For diamonds, recent people, questionable. The new lady at church that just showed up last week, shoot, I feel like, yeah, I should have known that name, but I met you last week, you said? Nah, it's not coming to me. Whereas as a sapphire, I might actually remember that I met you. I just can't quite remember your name. The older and deeper connections, good. I'm better at those. Emeralds, this is where I really start to struggle with that recognition immediately of name and or person. So I might recognize that I like you, or I like your smile, or, oh, you look a lot like my husband's father. But I'm really starting to lose the people awareness around me, even of people that are pretty close to me relationship-wise. My own kids, my own family, those kinds of pieces might get a little bit fuzzy, but I know all the way through whether I like you or not. And this is where that piece really becomes evident. Ambers can get lost in old new relationships. Again, might like or not like, but it's a moment by moment basis. So I might turn around and the look of you, really, I like that. Even though we just had a really bad interaction, suddenly I'm wanting to be really connected to you because I like what I'm seeing. So it's a moment by moment basis. Rubies, again, like or not like, notice that remains all the way through. But really familiar versus not. It's less about recognition of you as a person and more about the essence of you. Is this a familiar feeling, familiar tone, familiar soothing songs that we sing, routines and rituals that we kind of go through? The familiar, I recognize. If it's unfamiliar, you do things out of order. You don't have the tone of voice that's really soothing or comfortable or that I've heard my whole life. Then I don't recognize that. But it's less about the specifics and more about, is this a familiar person, or is this person feeling really unfamiliar? This is where, well, earlier on too, but this is where rhythm of speech is really tough when you've got two different cultures. Even if I speak really, really clear English, if it's jilted, stilted, or in a slightly different cadence, it can really feel completely unfamiliar, even though the words and the terminology you're using is is English. And that's my language. Pearl, voices, faces, touch, smell, familiar or not. Again, just a little bit more intense in a Pearl state than in a Ruby state of that familiar versus not familiar, soothing versus not. So what does that look like or sound like? Where do we see some problems? So for many of us right now, we're not able to be with people. And so that very first time when you go back and it's been months, it's been 2 months, and finally you're allowed to go in, or you get to do a Zoom call and you've been waiting and waiting and waiting. What does that end up sounding like? So I guess one of my PAC team, go ahead and call in. You're my daughter, because we have majority of females here. You're my daughter, and you finally get to call me or come in and see me. So what does that sound like? So go ahead and start the phone call. Or start the Zoom call, sorry.
Hey, Mom. Oh, it's so good to see you.
Well, you're a pretty girl.
Well, Mom, it's me. I know it's been a while. Can you see me? I've got the light on, but it's Beth.
Well, now I had a daughter named Beth.
Mom, it's
not like you.
No. It's your daughter. It's Beth. It's Beth. See, here, I'll come closer. Here, see? It's me. It's your daughter.
Ma'am, there's a lady in here.
Mom, listen, you remember.
Okay, so how's this going for us? So what things did you hear me say and do? Did I recognize Beth? What did I recognize? What people awareness did I have? So Jess is showing I had some history awareness. Oh, I had a daughter named Beth. Anything else? What else did I notice? What did I see right away?
It was a woman.
She's pretty.
She's pretty, and she seemed pretty nice until she started not being so nice. So what's going on here? What are we thinking? What kinds of things am I noticing? What things am I not noticing? Where am I in this journey? From that little interaction, it's probably fairly hard to tell, but what ideas does the PAC team have?
You had some good social skills. So there was rhythmic speech and social chit chat was there.
Okay, cool. And the give and take was pretty spot on. It sounded like a conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
You remembered you had a daughter, and your daughter's name was Beth.
Yeah, there was some older, deeper stuff, but so somewhere we're thinking, what do we think? Maybe somewhere diamond, emerald, somewhere in that range, maybe. But I would probably recognize as a diamond when she said Beth and connected it with calling me Mom. I'd be more likely to recognize her as my daughter. Whereas it seemed like that was a little bit hard to put together. Okay. So now,
also, as an emerald, she knew what she didn't like. It felt unsafe. Even though Beth has a pretty face, it was
it was all right for a while until she started to get a little bit forceful about it. She wanted me to hold on to something that I didn't quite get. Yeah. And so what we're going to try something a little bit different. And people often ask us, you mean like every time I should approach like this? We do mean like every time you should approach like this, even if you just saw me earlier today. Because what we want to start with is not putting someone on the spot to see, oh, okay, let's see whether or not she recognizes me or not. Because where I am in that moment, I may be doing something else. I may be really focused on my tasks, and then suddenly you're asking me to pull up a very specific awareness that may or may not be virtual at this point. Whew, that's a lot of skills to ask of my brain. So we're going to rewind. We're going to try it with a slightly different connection. So this time, oh goodness, let me see if I can find a spot for you. This time, Beth is going to try it, but she's going to try it using our script here. So Beth, when you're ready, I can't see you, so we'll have to go for it. But oh, there we go. I'll put you over here.
Hey, Mom. It's Beth. I'm sorry. And you are?
Well, Amanda, nice to meet you, Beth.
Nice to meet you, Amanda.
Uh-oh. What just happened for Beth in that moment?
She realized Mom didn't remember.
Yeah, but what did she get by not pushing it?
She got a response.
She got a response. She got a connect.
Response.
Okay, let's see what, I'm gonna skip past the next part of this. So why is it so, what do you notice about starting a conversation like this? What does it do for the person, me, the recipient? What does starting a conversation with a, even if you, oops, say, hey Mom, it's Beth and you are? What happened for me? What was I able to do? What skills did I get to have in that moment?
Self-identify.
So self-identify, I get to say who I am. What also did Beth cue up? We've talked before, take those left 3 fingers and tap that left temporal lobe. What is your, if you're losing language and comprehension, what is your blank? I know you're looking for a word. I know you want it to be the right one. I want it to be the right one too, but I have no idea what the thing is that you're looking for. What is your name is pretty forceful as the first question to start an interaction if I've lost some language. So instead, I'm Beth and you are. I'm Amanda and you are. It's that rhythm of speech that allows your brain a second to catch up. I am and you are. And last but not least, what does that serve as? Is it an assumption that you will recognize me and our relationship will be right there as soon as you see my face? Or is it an assessment to see, how are we doing today? How are we doing in this moment? What gem state are we sort of in right now?
True assessment.
Yeah, because could pick up on that the mom didn't give a clue there.
Ah, so the mom gave a clue the first time, but we kind of blew right past it. This time we're going, oh, shoot. And we have that moment of, oh crap, right? It's an oh shit moment is what we call them. And that's the right temporal lobe going, yay, I get to use some of these words to relieve some of the tension and stress that I just had, because that's really grief. In that moment, what does Beth have to do?
I really have to pull back and let go.
Pull back and let go of wanting her mom at the very first noticing of her to say, oh, that's my daughter Beth. She's however old she is, at however date it is right now, whatever year it's in right now, and at whatever day and time of, you're asking my hippocampus, which is not great in many dementias early on, to do a lot of work that it just isn't capable of doing right now. And instead pulling back, letting go for a minute to make a better connection so that then we can move forward. But that's pretty tough. So how do you, as a family member, as a husband, as a wife, as a daughter, as a son, as a mom, how do you let go of that relationship for a moment? So what are some ways, and this will be for the whole PAC team, what are some ways you can reframe the interaction?
Well, before we say that, Amanda, Julie on on YouTube was saying that, her dad knows her as her mom. She doesn't let it upset her. She says it's an honor. So the respect.
Cool. So recognizing, and that's a great answer to this question. If I can get my brain to let go of wanting the relationship to be the thing that you get, and instead we have the relationship right now is pretty darn good. I want to be with you. I like the look of you. You seem pretty nice. You remind me a lot of my person that I love. That's pretty great as far as a relationship to build with someone. Great. Thanks, Shelley. So what can the person do in any interaction, in any way that you're introducing yourself to someone? What can each person, no matter what gem state they're in, what can each person do if you allow the space for it?
You can make a connection.
They can make a connection. They can tell you whether or not they like you too. They can give you some good cues as far as whether or not you should keep coming or you should probably back off a little bit. Cool. So where is the person? When you enter their space, are we really looking around? Are we really figuring out where is this person in time and place to expect person awareness? Are we doing an assessment or are we going in with an assumption? How many of us think, oh, they should recognize me by the way that I look, and yet we're already in this sort of weird place of they think they're in a hotel, they think they're at a resort, they think they're somewhere else because they've just moved into this assisted living, and the story doesn't quite match anyway. Why would I expect the person awareness to be there where it used to be? But boy, is that hard to let go of. And last but not least, how do you let it go? Can you let go of who you need to be and figure out who do they need me to be in this moment? Are they looking for their mother? Are they looking for someone that's familiar? Are they looking for someone new and fun and interesting? Can I be that person instead of this other person that I've always been? Can I choose to do that assessment, figure it out, and be who you're wanting me to be in the moment? Because it's not a person all the time. It might be a personality. It might be a set of skills, or it might be something else. Any other thoughts from the PAC team?
I have a question on that. So when in a situation like that, is there ever a good time to lie?
Ooh, great question.
Should you lie to a person who's living with dementia?
Yeah, great question. So I'll throw it back to the team. Do you need to lie, or do we have some strategies that might be helpful? Any thoughts or ideas on what might be helpful in the moment if I say, oh, you're my sister. You're that, you're the one that was, going on the ride. You remember that?
Can you just reflect back what they're saying rather than
give it a
questioning
shot,
whether
Keith.
it's true?
Yeah,
No.
give it a shot.
Are you done here? Okay. So you're thinking I'm your sister?
Yeah, you remember when we went on that ride?
Yeah, we went on that ride. Yeah, that was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, that sure was. Well, sort of. I mean.
No? Well, I remember it was fun. How did you remember it?
Oh, what's happening as Keith started to go into my little story?
Getting pulled in.
Uh-oh, and the lie gets what? Bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you've got me going down the hallway to call your mom who's on the hospital line because actually the ride wasn't all that fun. My sister fell off and got a concussion, and then we had to go to the hospital, and I just remembered it because I saw this lady walking by with a mask, and it reminded me of that awful experience. And
so maybe we switch it to something else then.
Oh, so we start with the reflection. So you're thinking I'm your sister.
I do look a lot like her. So let me ask you,
Yeah.
You like your sister or not like your sister?
Oh no, she was the best, but
Ah,
I haven't seen her I was really missing her.
you're really missing her. Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad I look like her then.
Yeah,
Ooh, let me ask you something.
sure.
Was your sister a talker or was she a listener?
That's a good one. A little bit of both.
Little bit of both. Yeah. Maybe you could do me a favor.
Well, sure.
I have a project and I need somebody to take a look at it.
Okay, so what happens when you don't lie, but you go with me and recognize and validate me? Does it end up maybe a little bit better? And what happens for both of us? What do we both get to have?
A connection and a conversation.
A connection and a conversation where you don't feel like you're on the edge of maybe making a mistake every now and then. Because instead, now we're talking about something that we both share in the moment. Cool. Great question, Emily. All right, team. Well, our time is up today, but we have lots more that we offer. We are offering those 2-hour sessions with Teepa. We'll be getting the calendar up for the next 2 months, up and out, so you can check that out. And don't forget, we do free 30-minute consultations. Thank you so much for all the support. Share us out, give us to your friends who could use just someone to talk to, someone to ask these
Amanda,
questions. Yeah.
this Wednesday evening, 7 to 8:30 Eastern time, ask Teepa anything.
Ask Teepa anything of free, live, hopefully on Facebook. Connection, again, we just want to do right by you guys. We want to offer you whatever questions, thoughts, suggestions, support you could possibly want. So reach out to us and we will be here. Thanks to the PAC team for joining us. We had a big group today. Thanks everybody who watched.